Hey everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's in the Tube. Welcome back. If this is your eighth Doom Patrol Season 3 episode review. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying safe out there. It has been a very long week for me. I say this often, like every week now of my life feels like a month because that's just how things are. And it is still kind of weird for me to have a traditionalist schedule of life currently, at least at this juncture. Who knows where things might be in the next couple of months? Who knows? I still am, like, for me it's still crazy that in this last week we produced so much content, and we're not even done. I still have Doom Patrol to record. I got Nancy Drew to record. Like, I still got to fit Titans in some point, to do that season 3 review, since the show's been wrapped for like over a week now. I still haven't even seen the finale. I've been so far behind, because not because I haven't been able to get to it, it's just like we do so many other reviews that in my current schedule I do need a little me time, so to speak. And actually I was planning on doing it on Wednesday, and then I forgot. Oh shit, George wanted me to see Doom with him in the city, so I went there. And fun story with there, I was supposed to come home at 1:30, as I stupidly thought. I didn't get home till like 3, and I was like, huh. And I still woke up at 7 for work. So what is my life? I don't know. But what is life itself is questioned this week on Doom Patrol, which I think honestly I say this very often with a lot of my reviews, because it just turns out to be the case. At least this is just me and my general knowledge going into this review, because I did take a few minutes to reflect on and also setting up the stuff. I think this might be one of the best episodes of Doom Patrol. You could make the case this is, because it focused morely on the actual characters themselves. They progress the plot in a very incremental way, like not like too much of progression on the conflict front, but more along the lines of our core characters now, and just figuring out what is going on with them, and then having these epiphany moments. And this is something that like I always loved about Doom Patrol, that they always find ways to continue growing the characters almost every episode, but also doing the traditional, what is the craziest shit we could put these characters through this week. And again, this is probably, I think, might be the best episode of the whole show. And I say that very lightly, since we've only had like 26 episodes, 27 episodes on the air, which isn't a lot per se. I mean, we've already reviewed a lot of shows already on a lot of episodes, so that isn't saying much. But one of the good things about doing these sort of shows is that you have a much tighter scope, so you don't really, you let all the greatness go where it matters. And definitely this week was honestly great. I really did. I really did enjoy this. It was a really good week for DC. Stargirl did pretty good this week. I know Legends had its 100th episode yet. Again, since I went to go see Dune on Wednesday, I still haven't seen it because I've just been so busy. And then Walker premiered last night, so my mind was all over the place. But this has been a pretty good week for DC. This has been. But anyway, let's go for the Butcher recap and talk about this week's episode of Doom Patrol. So the creepy birds, or winged entity, the freaking weird, seriously, that's like nightmare fuel right there. Like I've heard a lot of things on the interwebs about nightmare fuel, and I look at it like, it doesn't look like nightmare inducing to me. These freaking birds are like creepy as shit. Like the tone, their shade, the wings, like when they fly, they're so weird. It's like I just want to freaking punch it and kill it, because like, it just looks like a fucking demonic bird from hell. I'm sorry, I don't even know where that came from. I'm sorry. It's just like my mind like just freaking snapped or something, which is kind of like what most of these characters went through this week. So after the Sisterhood of Data unleashed this giant bird entity, which also released all these mini things to create the Eternal Flatulence, which is basically a subconscious, mind-boggling trip where basically the you of yourself goes back to a core moment of your life. I'm using inside out terminology here. It goes back to a core memory of yours, and it kind of like makes you relearn like what this situation is, because it defines one of your problems, and it's trying to help you figure out your shit, so that when you come back you have the sense of like you figured it out. So for all of them, so okay, I'm gonna go from like personally from my favorite to lead. We see sadly for me, I do believe Larry had the most emotional story, but for me, I just got so distracted by the other three that I just completely kind of glossed over Larry's point. Larry goes back on the day of his wedding where he was supposed to have this conversation with his mom, basically telling her that he's gay and that he doesn't want to marry his wife and he wants to pursue his own passions, but in the actual timeline, his mother, he never had that conversation with his mother, and his mother just she knew he was gay, but she never wanted to acknowledge it. She always wanted him to be, in her terminology, of being happy, and that was a core memory because it kind of like was the biggest repression of Larry's life, because not only did he have to kind of forget, well, not really forget, but kind of had to push down his true self just to make everyone else happy. Victor is reliving at first a childhood flashback of him as a kid with his dad at the toy store. But while he's there, he's trying to find these action figures, which I'm like, Jesus Christ, these action figures are so freaking old and so generic that I'm looking at my Lightning collection, like all the articulation, all the details, and I'm just thinking to myself, oh yeah, I forgot. Back in the day, like toys were not that specially painted. I mean, they could be, but it probably would cost you hundreds of dollars. It still costs hundreds of dollars, but now they're doing more affordable versions just to keep the money backs rolling. But a key thing to this flashback is that Victor is young Vic, as I'll call him. Young Vic is trying to find a black superhero toy to play with, but he is finding it hard to play because, again, back in the day, that wasn't really something that was commonly popularized. It was always superhero had to be white. All the toys had to be white because that was just how things were back then. So Vic kind of felt left out because he didn't have any representation, which of course obviously now you look at just today where you have Black Panther, you have T'Challa, Star, I know that's too, my mind's just really tired. You have Cyborg, Black Lightning, Vixen, trying to keep the wheels up. Martian Manhunter, kind of technically. Yeah, I'm gonna say yes on that front. You have so many even more representation in Asians and Hispanics and Muslim when coming with Miss actually no, Pakistani. See, I know my stuff. Don't worry, I wasn't gonna make a culture reference, and I'm gonna stop there before I really screw myself over. So, and during that moment, he honestly was not handling that thing because again he's a kid, so he doesn't know better. But he just starts dropping the toys he doesn't want to see, and then the toy store employee and the security guard assume he's creating some destruction, so they're about to call the police on him before Vic's father comes in to kind of stop them. As for Jane, she's transported to Muppet Sesame Street. It literally is like so Kay, the actual being in the head, she's now grown up, taking Jane's form, of course, and Jane's likeness, and now she's transformed all of her other personalities into freaking Muppets or puppets or whatever the frick. This is the second time DC has done puppets, and believe me, when Legends of Tomorrow did that, I was just like, I want to slap all these puppets, even though in my heart, I love Sesame Street as a kid, and I have a soft spot for the Muppets, even still to this day. This just made me want to slap them. I just did not like any of these puppets. Not in terms of the designs were fine. I'm just saying, I personally do not like them, and I kind of want to kick their asses. Also, R.I.P. Sheep. And Jane, of course, is now a puppet herself, and it's very weird. It's very, I don't know. It seems like the most calmest version I've seen Diana Rodriguez Diana Guerrero on this show. It's the most calmest, the most tame, and I don't like it. I really don't. I miss my sassy talking, Jane. I really do. And the biggest surprise, which I don't know how the hell I missed this when I was finding photos for the thumbnail this week. Freaking Brendan Fraser finally is on the show, like physically on the show. Well, actually no, he's been on the show before in flashback, but like it felt so long since we've seen him. I'm pretty sure he was in season 2 at some point, but I haven't seen him in a while. Brendan Fraser has had a great resurgence over the last couple of years. He just got cast in Batgirl, which I'm like, bravo, congratulations to him, go get it. But I don't know why, like every time I see him on screen, I always think, oh, this is his big like on-screen comeback, and then I realize, oh no, he was on Doom Patrol before. I don't know why, I just forgot the fact that he was on the show before physically. It's just mostly he's doing VO from a studio somewhere in LA. So that was for me kind of like, oh, I forgot about that point. I really did. They're transported to another typical day in the life of of Cliff, where he's doing blow, he's drinking beer, he's freaking screwing around with strippers, and his daughter is in the back seat from 9 to 9 or 9 to midnight or whatever. And I'm just like, oh god, I feel sorry for that. But the key to keep note is that our Doom Patrol selves, our characters, they get switched out. So the flashback ones are swapped out back to the real world, while their kind of current selves are going back through that memory to try and figure out what is causing their shit. So I initially thought we were gonna get like, this is like the team Doom Patrol. Like, you got Human Cliff, you got Kay, not Jane. I'm trying to make that the rhyme. I know. Suited up Larry and the freaking, also forgot to mention, young Vic does find a black toy. He does. It's a commando. It's an army figure, and when this switch happens, Cyborg becomes the toy, and he gets sent off to the real world. So it's a very weird Doom Patrol, and Rita's there to kind of like guide them through, and he kind of giving a little bit of catch up that after everything that happened with the flashbacks from last week, she teamed up with the Sisterhood of Dada to kind of continue developing the fog to kind of create this internal flatulence, so that everyone around the world can really sort out their shit, since there is a lot of people out there that's got a lot of shit to handle. So I don't mind that. And she's kind of like going through like the points of like how this is done and how this is working, that sort of thing. What are her motivations behind it? And all these people are like, they're not the real Doom Patrol characters we know and love. Like, they are to a sense, but they're not. Like, they're still in the process of being developed to those characters. So they really are like, yeah, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do this confession BS. They're like, no, we're out of here. They literally leave the manor behind and decide to like go on foot somewhere on a grand adventure, which is hilarious. So we briefly do get a moments between all of our actual characters as they're surrounded by this cliff. Our Cliff is kind of like mesmerized, like he's back in the scenario. He's able to have some fun because apparently for us, we see our versions of the characters, but for the people in the flashback, they just view them as the origin, as what they were looking like back in that moment. So for Jane, she's still stuck in puppet land. She's trying to talk about like, why the hell are we stuck here? Like, what do we do now? Like, we got to fix this problem because, we can't live like this. We can't be puppets for the rest of our lives. And they poorly murder a sheep, which I'm very thankful it was in puppet form, because if it was a freaking live sheep, I would be like, nope, I'm done. We're done. The show's over. I'm done here. And then so what happens after that? Where do we go? Because I lost my train of thought. I was on a roll here. I was on a roll. I think the most pungent moment we get here, well, the most poignant moment, is that Larry is able to finally get that conversation he had with his mother, even though it won't have to make any impact in his current timeline. It is something that he's like. It's kind of like when you like text out something, when you write something out on paper or on your phone or on your computer, kind of like these are your thoughts that you're just releasing from your mind, and then now you feel better. I actually did that recently. I had a little bit of a personal issue. I won't get into that here because it's actually really personal. And I was about to send that message, but I'm like, if it comes to an essay type text I send, I'm gonna text it out. I'm gonna write it out on my notepad and then send it from there. But after reading it and after like getting my thoughts out there, I felt so much better that I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna leave it on my phone, but I'm not gonna send it. But I'm like, that felt so relieved. That's kind of how like I'm describing Larry's case here. Where like Larry does feel a little relieved that he gets those thoughts out of his head, but at the same time, it's not gonna really do anything since like again he's in a flashback, he's in a memory, so that's not really gonna affect anything in the current timeline, so to speak. Cliff's having some fun as always, and Vic is a toy to himself. So that's what's happening. We do get a flashback, another flashback, not related to the fog, where Rita discovers. I think it was shortly after everything had gone down with like the kind of like the purge of the Dada, or like not the purge, more like the silencing of the Dada, where we do get to see him between Madame Rohe, or the Mills, if you want to be more specific there, talking with the Brotherhood of Evil about what their plans are, and like what that sort of thing. It seems like she is turning to the dark side, so to speak, fully. So we're kind of getting to see that idea going here. But And also kind of creating a loophole since like her new assignment is she's gonna travel back in time because once they find out that Wendy is actually Rita from the future, then they're like, oh, it's Niles Cauldron. He freaking sent her. We need to kill her. So now it kind of makes sense to why everything was kind of coming together because Rita did travel back in time and kind of like put herself out there in front of everyone. So now she's gonna go out there and try and find Niles Cauldron and presumably kill him. So that's Madame Roget's new assignment, and Rita tries to talk her out of it. It's not really successful since it's just an impasse. Like there's nothing really much they can do by that point. So I know Rita does travel back to, and this is where like things go like full circle, where Rita does go back in time to the moment in episode 2 to lock the Doom Patrol in so they can have those moments so that they can like literally. It's so weird because like technically it's one of those time loops. Like no matter what, it's always going to be like that timeline. Like there's always that theory like something has had to happen originally for this time loop to happen. But at the same time, like, it's a time loop, so it's like technically it can never be broken. Like there was never an origin place because it's a circle. You just keep going. But at least it kind of makes a little bit of sense of what was going on back in episode 2, kind of like figuring out some plot because my brain was freaking stupid as hell to figure that out. Did something break? Nothing broke. Thank God. I want to say eventually, meanwhile, back in our reality, the freaking other Doom Patrol are stumbling through the woods, but they're covered in fog. And Rita's trying to implore him, like, let's confess, let's talk, let's have a conversation with ourselves. And they're like, fuck no, we are not doing this shit. And I'm just like, I get it. In robot form and human form, I just love Cliff. I really do. It's like, it's just, you can't get enough of the guy, and no matter what shape or form. Again, I really want Brendan Fraser to do more movies. I really want him to do more shows because I loved him as a kid, and I really want to see him again. I want to see him more. So instead, they just have to retreat back to the manor where the freaking general decides to create a bed fort. I'm not sorry. He creates a pillow fort. And I'm like, this is the most impressive pillow fort ever that I would love for me, a 24-year-old individual, to live in here. I would love to sleep in here every night. Because I'm at that age right now, like, this is cool. This is really cool. Like, stuff that I used to like as a kid is now cool again. When was that during high school and early college? I don't know. It just disappeared. It really did. So they try confessing and... Oh, no, not really. Well, sorry, my throat was dying over there. All the screaming I've been doing. Past Larry is looking at the window. It's kind of like a symbolism that there's a lot on his mind and there's a lot he wants to confess. He wants to live and get away and like, kind of start anew, but he's not able to because, there's nothing he can do. He's just a memory. There really isn't anything. There really isn't anything like impactful they can do to the past. It's just what they can learn from these moments to affect their futures. So they're all having a moment inside. Cliff decides to give Kay some beer because technically she is legal age, but mentally she's not. And thankfully she doesn't like it, so she's like, get this away from me. So they all talk about just the matter, like, should we confess? Should we talk about it? And Cliff is, of course, the first one to vocally say, hell no, let's not do this at all. Like, let's just party for the rest of our lives and hope to God the current selves just don't bother to come back here so that we could still, have this moment of like, live again for a moment, so to speak. Yeah, not sort of, but Cliff does eventually confess a little bit because he just had that emotional anger breakdown and they just kind of released that inner thoughts and and all that such. So what's going on back in the eternal flatulence reality? Cliff is the first to realize that, like, he's not doing this. Because he's literally about to get a blowjob from the stripper, but then the stripper tells him, oh, yeah, by the way, there's a little girl in your Camaro. Do you want to do anything about it, or you're going to leave it alone? And Cliff's like, you know what, no, I'm not dealing with this. I'm done. And then he just jumps through a freaking Looney Tunes-like portal to, to the other worlds, the other minds, the other landscapes. Just getting Cliff out of his, and then getting Vic to not be a toy anymore, and giving little Vic a little something for him to remember him by. Really isn't going to do anything to them, but it's just like something to like make it more better in the end. At least it makes their conscience a little bit more better. And I love the scene where they freaking just burst through the puppet set and they just grab Jane, and it's just like, this is so adorable. And I'm just like, fuck yeah, get the fuck out of there, leave these other puppets. And the other puppets are like, Once again, Jane leaves us to go save the day. Why do we always get left behind? Why do we always have to let her do this? And the bald one, the bald personality, is like, no, not anymore. We don't have to. So they start formulating a plan, but we don't get to see that till later. I forgot where else. Where else do we go? I lost my train of thought again. Yeah, so they're escaping the eternal flatulence for like this very the very silly shit this show goes through, and I love it. They go through like this freaking again another Looney Tunes like railroad ride to get away, and I'm just like, this is only Doom Patrol. This is the only show that I'll legally accept this freaking scene. They eventually come back to the main Doom Patrol manor, reunite with like their memory selves, and it's just weird like to see Brendan Fraser with Robot Man finally in person, seeing Matt Bomer with Negative Man, then just seeing freaking a puppet Jane and the real Jane, and it's just oh my god, this was a fun scene. And they're still denying like we don't have to confess, we don't have to give in to what the Dada wants, because fuck the Dada, like what are they gonna do? They don't have any control in our lives. But Larry is the first one to break. He does talk with his self-conscience, and they talk about just the wedding day and how our Larry managed to actually talk to his mom, and it felt a little bit better, and they have this conversation. They have this moments of like acceptance. They hold hands, and then that's when the freaking creepy ass demon bird shows up, and it takes away the subconscious, indicating that like Larry has learned something from this experience. Everyone looked around, was like, we are not following this example, especially not Cliff. And then the human Cliff's like, well, why not? Like, I want to confess now. It was freaking sweet. It was beautiful to see Larry confess to himself and to admit his problems. Like, why don't we do the same? And Cliff's just like, fuck no, I don't want to do this. Like, I refuse to deal with my problems. But human Cliff is actually for once kind of like a sane human being, where he's saying like, look, I'm still going to loop. Like, no matter what's going to happen now, I'm going to go back to that freaking memory, and I'm just going to live that. That's the rest of my freaking existence. But you have a chance. Like, I fucked up my relationship originally with our daughter. Now you have another chance to do it, as well as with your grandson. And you're dealing with Parkinson's in the worst way possible. Get yourself fixed up, get yourself straight in order, and actually develop a real bond with your family. And that's when like the subconscious Cliff left. Victor's not handling this, so he heads out, and he doesn't want to deal with this any further, considering the fact how much progress they're making. But he and the general, this again is still a weird thing to say, only on Doom Patrol. They talk about about just what Vic's going through right now, and like how much this all means to him, and like losing the cybernetic parts, and how does that really mess up with what he was thinking about back in the day. Because like for Vic, yeah, he is for a lot of people an icon. When you become a superhero, you're someone's hero. Someone is gonna, like, I'm saying this like as a true Izuku Midoriya fanboy. Literally, once All Might came on the scene, Izuku was a fan from the get go. There is someone out there that literally looks at Cyborg like he is the coolest superhero in the world. I wonder where he's been for the past couple years. So they have that moment, and Kay has the moment looking around like, you know what? I appreciate you. I appreciate all the personality. Having this little taste of adulthood. I want to explore things on my own. I want to start doing my own independent things that is not connected to any of the personalities. And Jane doesn't like that because A, she doesn't think Kay's ready yet, and also B, where does that leave for them? Like, like they had this conversation over in the Puppet verse. What does that mean for the personalities once Kay's like ready to grow up? Does that mean they all disappear? Their existence is over? They don't know, but they're only scared of the fact that like we have a chance of being swept off the face of this little girl's mind. There's a chance. They don't want to take that chance. But Kay made up her mind, and then Jane takes over the real body back, and then she just starts exploding in tears that like she failed Kay again, and then this time Kay might be gone forever. But after Jane sadly destroys the pillow fort, they all regroup and say, you know what? This was a very delightful experience, but I am ready to never talk about this again, and we could just go back to our normal life. Nope. The fog dissipates, and they go back to where they were before the Dada takes them away. Cliff sadly gets returned back to the garage where his daughter lives, and sadly she does catch him doing all the cam girl stuff, the credit card debt, the drugs, the gambling, everything, and she's like, I don't think it's best for you to come around anymore for now. And Cliff's like, I know. Because he knows that deep down, like, what he was doing was wrong, but he couldn't be stopped. And now that I think, is going to have some sort of inclination to stop, it's already too late. The damage has been done again. Larry has a change of heart and decides to go back for the freaking larva, which again, it's a freaking parasite. You should kill it, Larry, because if the end of the world, if genocide comes after you in season 4, that's going to be on freaking you. Jane returns back to to her subconscious, like the real conscious plane, to find Kay, and she finds her and is like, look, I know you said some things, I said some things, but maybe we should take this time to, like, rebuild and regrow and talk about our issues and actually get to be, good again. But Kay's like, okay, but, none of the other personalities are here anymore, by the way. And it's like, it's creepy to say, like, all those personalities, gone. Ow, my nose. Victor wakes up from his surgical sleep, and again, like for them, the people doing this, they had no idea what happened, so like they just proceeded on with the surgery. So Victor's now fully human again. Okay, well, not fully human. He looks fully human again, but inside he still has the cybernetics. But it's just like he just has a synthetic skin. The armor pieces are off. His dad's there, and it's like, oh man, this dad's trying to control his rage, because like I can look at his face, and I kind of get some shades of my dad, where it's like, he's mad and he wants to yell, but Vic's still in that vulnerable state of like he just woke up, so it's not smart to be yelling at him just quite yet. But I'm just like, that was a little bit scary. And then the episode ends with Rita walking somewhere along a creek, and then she runs into the Mills, but we don't know what this is the crazy thing about time traveling. We know this Rita is the one that returned from the past, but who is this De Mills? Is she Madame Rouge? Is she the Mills we've been kind of seeing off? We don't know, but that's where the episode ends. But for me, I think I have to talk about this. I think this is probably still one of the best episodes of Doom Patrol. I could make the case that it was the best episode. I went into this episode kind of thinking, like, how are they going to do this? Like, last week you gave us the most interesting question of, like, you humanized our villains and you gave them a purpose and you gave them, like, kind of like their own story to kind of, like, contrast the Doom Patrol, which, like, the Doom Patrol, while there are heroes to an extent, there are a bunch of D-bags, and, definitely trusting them to save the world, definitely not going to be the case with many people. And then Sister Dada, you felt so bad for them. They're like, yeah, they're trying to do this kind of, like, against human rights type thing, but you do get where they're coming from. So it creates that conflict of like who is right and who is wrong, and the whole gray area of conversation comes back up again. So yeah, I took that away from it. This episode kind of like, again, putting back, because the last 2 weeks kind of focused a little bit more on the sisterhood, so you kind of got more of that. We kind of took a step back, kind of humanized the Doom Patrol characters a bit, because there is a sense Larry has grown a little bit, Cliff secretly grown a little bit, Vic now dealing with this, like, where does he go from here, now that he's like fully, humanized again, and Jane lacking all the personalities, where do they go from here, and how does this impact their the common conflict with the Dada, since there's only 2 episodes left. So whether we get a showdown or just some sort of like mental showdown, it's going to be curious to see how that's going to all turn out. But for me, I think this still stands out as one of the strongest episodes of the show, and I'm very surprised. Also, we should do human Cliff and the Jane puppets at some point down the line. We really should. I would love to see them again. So for me, I'm going to give this episode 2 thumbs up. My highest orders. Congratulations there. And let me know in the comments below, what did you think of this week's episode of Doom Patrol? Down for a conversation down below as always. But I believe that's going to do it for me today, everyone. So if you're unaware, this has been What's the Two from Action X, reviewing every episode in the 3rd season of Doom Patrol. If you want to know what we're doing normally in What's the Two besides our Doom Patrol reviews, we're currently doing Nancy Drew episode reviews for season 3 every Monday mornings after a brand new episode on Sunday nights. Oh no, every Sunday mornings after a brand new episode on Friday nights on the CW, or for the next day on the CW app, which is in my end about to start up soon. So I'm gonna quick up about the pace for this ending rigmarole. We also do the Rookie season 4 episode reviews each and every Monday mornings after a brand new episode on Sunday nights on ABC or on Hulu the next day. We are also doing DC Stargirl Season 2 episode reviews each and every Wednesday morning, except our brand new episode on Tuesday nights on the CW, or free the next day on the CW app, which the finale is this coming week, so stay tuned for that. And then we also have Walker Season 2 episode reviews each and every Friday mornings after brand new episode on Thursday nights on the CW, or free the next day on the CW app. Also next week will be our 269th episode of What's in the Two. We'll be talking about chemistry. It's gonna be steamy. It's gonna be fun. I don't know what the hell I'm gonna record that, but it will be recorded at some point soon. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm still surprised. Like, episode 69 and episode 169 are performing very well in the post-launch atmosphere, and I'm just like, where are these horny people coming from? No offense, I respect you, but where? I want to know where. Tell me of this community. I would like to know. But anyway, if you don't care about Doom Patrol, you're in luck. We'll be back next week, Saturday morning, for another episode review. Again, as always, we're wrapping up our Doom Patrol run here, so next 2 weeks, remaining episode reviews. Third week of November, I believe, it's going to be the Season 3 review, non-spoilers with the spoiler minute. And then also we have the Season 4 predictions video, I believe, on Thanksgiving week. So that's kind of going to be wrapping up our Doom Patrol run there. So we're closing to it. We're coming to the last month. We're coming to a close. Very sad. It's coming to an end already, but it's been a blast so far. Rocket start, but it's been a blast. But we'll talk more about that in a couple weeks. But again, this has been What's in the Two from Action X. Please subscribe to us on youtube.com/ActionXvideos if you want to see more of us. Please also like, favorite, share this review if you want to, but it helps us gets us out to other members of the Fan Patrol who have yet to discover us, helps us beat up the YouTube algorithm that hates me ever so much in life, and as well as sharing us for free here on the interwebs. Please also ring that bell for notification where our next Doom Patrol review is live, which is normally each and every Saturday mornings. And please also follow us on social media to stay up to date with any sort of updates we may have for the channel. But until next week, for all you members of the Fan Patrol, I'll see you all then. But until then, stay safe out there, be good to each other, and as always, peace out.